Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Tonight, I'm going to change your life. If, however, writing speeches counts as being life-changing for you, you really need to get out more, or you should when we're not in lockdown. The hardest part of Toastmasters is doing the actual speech, but you're in luck because it's difficult for everyone. And there are two types of people in Toastmasters. There are those who say, I feel the fear. I've been there for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or however long, and I feel the fear. The other type of people are liars. Everyone feels the fear and gets nervous. That's part of the whole experience. But by the time we get to the end of this slide deck, I will either have dropped off or you will be confident enough to feel the fear and do it anyway. So much like playing a piano or a guitar or learning to play golf or any other art, there is an art to speechcraft. And that's what I'm going to take you through tonight. The more you do it, the easier it gets. And more importantly, the better you get at it. So the basics of any speech revolve around three elements: content, structure, and delivery. And that's what we're going to look at. In terms of content, you have to have a subject. You have to talk about something. It has to have a purpose. You're bringing people with you to a destination, whether it's at the end of a story or whether it's trying to make them laugh or whatever the case may be. You have to have a goal in mind for your speech. And your speech has to have value. No one is going to be engaged by you just standing up or sitting, as the case may be, and waffling on for 5 or 7 minutes. It has to have value. It has to mean something to you and to your audience. So the subject. The subject can be, broadly speaking, one of three things, or involve one of three areas. So it can involve your expert knowledge. If you're an expert in chess or in Google or in Toastmasters or whatever the case may be, that's your expert knowledge. It can be your passion, playing the guitar, Liverpool Football Club, God help us. Books, anything at all, whatever you're passionate about. Or it can be something that appeals to the audience, a call to arms, a call to action. Ideally, if you can combine one or two or even ideally three of those. So, speak about something you're passionate about, that you have expert knowledge in, and that's going to appeal to the audience. That's the gold standard. That's exactly what you need. That's very difficult to actually identify. Particularly when some things will appeal to certain audiences, some things won't, but it all comes with time. Equally, if you are an expert or if you're particularly passionate about something, speaking about it becomes easier almost naturally, because once you're engaged, the audience will engage with you. In terms of the purpose, speeches have to have a reason. They have to either inform people, entertain people, or persuade people to do something they wouldn't naturally do anyway, or a combination of all of those three. In terms of structure, you have to have an organization, you have to have a flow of the speech, and it has to follow a certain format. Now, the formats can change, but you have to have at least some form of structure to get from the start to the end. So let's talk about organization. Your speech typically is made up of three parts. There's the beginning, there's the middle, and there's the end. The beginning is about 10%, the middle is about 80% or thereabouts, and the end is 10%. No matter how fast or slow you think you're going to speak, on average, when you're actually doing a presentation, you cover about 100 to 120 words per minute. What people will remember most, in all likelihood, is how you started and how you finished. So they are critical. You have to grab their attention and you have to leave them with a message. The bit in the middle is around 300, 320 words. Try to make it roughly 3 points, because any more you're going to go over, and you're going to go over time, and you're going to lose the audience. The flow of your speech. So think of it as taking people on a journey with you. You prepare, you have control over the environment, you have control over the content, and what you're looking for is the transition between the start, the first point, second point, the third point, and then the end. A recommendation for the start is find a hook. So if you can start with something humorous or something engaging, like hopefully I did at the start of this speech, it's much, much easier to get the audience on your side. Try to connect the dots. So try to have a logical connection between all the points that you're trying to make and all of the sections that you're trying to cover, and close the circle. If you can come back at the end to where you started from, that just ties it all up in a nice bow, and it's a better experience for your audience. In terms of the format, formats can change depending on the type of speech that you're doing. So it can be something topical, it can be a chronology, like a historical event, it can be a demonstration like Mary did and Michael did with Pathways and Easy Speak. It can be a story. Do you know what happened to me last week? It can be a problem and a solution. There's a problem with COVID. This is, a potential solution to look after your mental health. And there's cause and effect. This happened, so this is the effect. But you have to have at least some idea of the type of format that you're doing, because otherwise you're not going to be able to craft a speech around that. Delivery. Your audience is going to see what you're presenting, hear what you're saying, and feel something as a result. What they will remember, by and large, is how it made them feel. So be conscious of that in terms of your delivery. Try to stimulate them into engaging with you, engaging with the subject, and they will feel something, and that's what they will remember. Body language. Now, this is a very difficult one in the current circumstances, because people are sitting at the desks, they're on Zoom, you can only see from here up on most people. So that's why it's very important to, maintain eye contact with the camera in this case. Try to go for facial expressions and exaggerated gestures and movement, although that's kind of limited. When we're back in the physical space, then you can start looking at stance and using up the space that you're in. But as I said at the outset, that's very difficult in the circumstance we're in at the moment. Vocal variety. So you can use power to convey a strong point. You can talk very fast, or you can slow it down and modulate yourself. You can pause for effect. You can change your pitch up or down for effect and for emphasis. And you can inflect to give that extra punch to your point. If you can convey an emotional impact, that's what's going to trigger a feeling in your audience. So use all of the tools that are available. As it says there, let it out and let us in. Consider your tone of voice. Be authentic. Show sincerity. Convey your story as genuinely as you can. Be enthusiastic. If you can insert humor, even if it's just a one-liner at some point, That will always break the ice. And try to draw on your own experiences if that's appropriate for your subject matter. To be successful at speech writing, it's all about practice, 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 practice. Craft your speech and then edit. Be absolutely ruthless, because however short you think your speech is, it's not short enough. Be absolutely ruthless. Throw it past other people. Practice it some more. Record yourself. Play it back in the car. Play it. If you're back to yourself if you're going on a walk. Before you stand up or sit down in some cases, before you present it to your audience, you should know your speech inside out. That not only will give you an air of authority, but it will make you less nervous when you're presenting your content, because you obviously know what you're talking about. The audience will feel that and they will engage with you. Trust the process. Practice, edit, practice. And most of all, trust yourself. You're here in this environment. It's a safe environment, but you're here because somewhere, at some stage along the line, you actually want to do this. You may not feel like it when you're standing up in front of your audience or in front of the camera, but you're here because you want to achieve something. So feel the fear, but do it anyway. You're among friends. Everyone is on your side. And as I said at the outset, the more you do this, the easier it becomes and the better you get at it. And the very best of luck.